All right, gang, come on in. Let's get going. Find a songbook, find a seat. 392. 392. $392. I didn't put it anywhere. That's fine. 392, here we go. Trying to walk in the steps of the Savior, trying to follow our Savior and King, shaping our lives by His blessed example. Happy, how happy the songs that we bring. How beautiful to walk in the steps of the Savior, stepping in the light, stepping in the light. How beautiful to walk in the steps of the Savior, led in paths of light, pressing more closely to Him who is leading when we are tempted to turn from the way. Trusting the arm that is strong to defend us. Happy, how happy our praises each day. How beautiful to walk in the steps of the Savior, stepping in the light, stepping in the light. How beautiful to walk in the steps of the Savior, led in paths of light. Trying to walk in the steps of the Savior, upward, still upward, will follow our guide. When we shall see Him, the King, in His beauty, happy, how happy our place at His side. How beautiful to walk in the steps of the Savior, stepping in the light, stepping in the light. How beautiful to walk in the steps of the Savior, led in paths of light. What would you guys like to sing tonight? What will it be, Isaiah?
620.
620. Good solid choice. 620. Sing 1 and 4. You ready? Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Christ the royal master leads against the foe. Forward into battle, see His banners go. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Onward then, ye people, join our happy throng. Blend with us your voices in the triumph song. Glory, laud, and honor unto Christ the King. This through countless ages men and angels sing. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Palmer, you got the last one tonight. 4:14. I thought you were going to say 4:15 there for a second. It's like, woo-hoo. Wow. Yeah, all right, 4:14. Good enough. When we walk with the Lord in the light of His Word, what a glory He sheds on our way. While we do His good will, He abides with us still, and with all who will trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. Then in fellowship sweet, we will sit at His feet, or we'll walk by His side in the way. What He says we will do, where He sends we will go. Never fear, only trust and obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus, but to trust and obey. Very good. I haven't decided where we should send him next. He's been down the Grand Canyon. But to get him to Missoula, if that's what it takes, I think, what other places might be tour worthy? I don't know, but I'm really glad that we get to have Mr. Wilson in town tonight to give us the lowdown at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. So this is all about looking up. I know, I'm desperate for tonight. All right, so yeah, you've got it all, pal. Go for it.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. If we can get that fired up, and wonder if there's some way we can maybe cut the lights.
I'll get that for you.
Okay.
Attach that to about second button level.
We're getting there. Well, we'll see if you guys can see. How does that sound? We'll have audience participation. You know, it's called, is this good or not good? Okay. Okay, the Grand Canyon. Okay, there it is. So, just to introduce you, okay? We're going to have some rocks tonight. And my job is to try to figure out how to make rocks interesting, okay? Because some people, they're interesting, and some people, they're not. So, across the Grand Canyon here, this is a stock photo. See that white layer there? That's called Coconino sandstone, okay? And you'll want to remember Coconino sandstone. And here's Coconino sandstone here on this side. It's about 18 miles across there. Same layer. The Grand Canyon is itself 280 miles long. And a lot of these layers run the entire length of the canyon. Okay? And of course, we're told that the canyon is 9 million years old, and all these rocks were laid down slowly over periods of time in vast inland seas. So we'll do the presentation, and you be the judge. Okay, a little bit of geology. Okay, we gotta have geology. Okay, mega sequence. Okay, there happen to be 6 mega sequences of sediment in planet Earth. There's spots in planet Earth where the sediment's 35,000 feet thick. So you can't even process that. 35,000 feet thick. And these mega sequences, like I say, there's 6 of them. And these are recognized as such by the secular geologists. This isn't just something that the creationist guys are making up. This is secular geology terminology, okay? And it's correct. A mega sequence basically consists of a layer of sandstone, and then above it is a layer of shale, and then above it is a layer of limestone. So what was happening was when these sediments are coming in, basically they're pretty churned up, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And so the sandstone settles out first, and then the clay, which turns into a shale, and limestone. Now, if you scrape some of the hard water stuff off your showers, that's limestone. And sometimes, yeah, it's like limestone, trying to get that off of there. Calcium carbonate. And what happens is there's a lot of calcium in water, and there's a lot of carbon dioxide that's dissolved. And the more pressure you have, the more carbon dioxide you have. So when you have a change of conditions, where there's a change of atmospheric pressure or something, boom, you can get that limestone. So that's what a mega sequence is, and the lower mega sequence is the one that's most complete. The others are in varying degrees complete or stuff mixed in, but that's what a mega sequence is. There's 6 of them. Okay, the bottom is named Sauk, and that's gets its name from the Sauk Indians in eastern United States, okay? Tippecanoe, I don't know if any Indiana guys here recognize that. That's the name of the other one, next one. And then there's the Kaskaskia, which is also from back east, all right? And then Absaroka. Okay, we're in. Sorry, Teddy. And then Zuni. Now those 5 mega sequences were laid down in the flood. You know, the rain for 40 days. But the flood waters continued to rise up to 150 days. See, so it kept going, you know, a lot after the rain quit, because the floodgates of the deep were open. And so the highest point of the flood was 150 days in. All 5 of those mega sequences were laid in that 150 days. The last one, Tejas, is what happened when the floodwaters started to come down. And that's when you had, you know, tremendous processes going on the surface of the earth, post-flood process. You had mountain ranges lifting up. You had valleys dropping low. You had all the floodwaters draining off, and all the erosion that's taking place that you see here. That's the last phase, and it's the most violent. Okay, to give you an example, the Teton Range in northwestern Wyoming, say the top of that is say 13,700 feet. The base of that, where that range begins, is 30,000 feet lower. Base of that's covered with that much sediment. You take the Big Hole Valley, 14,000 feet of sediment in the Big Hole. See this? That's all part of that last mega sequence here. Terry, can you see? Okay, I don't mean to block anything, but okay. So this is what we're looking at now. In the Grand Canyon, there's the Sauk mega sequence. We'll talk, get some stuff, and it's Tapete sandstone, supposedly to 525 million years old. See, all these rocks, they come with a label. It says 525 MYA on them, right? See, they just made it up. See, then you got your Bright Angel Shale, supposedly 550 million years ago, and you got your Muav limestone, supposedly 505. See, there's your mega sequence. There's Tippecanoe is missing in the Grand Canyon. Tippecanoe is missing in Montana as well. Then there's a Kaskaskia, and so that's primarily the red wall limestone, about 360 million years ago. Then you got the Absaroka, and that gets its name from the Absaroka Mountains and the Absaroka volcanics. And that's all the way up to the Coconino sandstone. Do you remember that? And the Kaibab limestone, 275 to 270 million years ago. How are your eyes? They glazed over yet? Just checking. Okay. So, why this can be important to you. So I kind of went through my slide presentation for Katie, because I always like her feedback. She says, well, why is it important? why would they be interested? Well, if you're involved in Bible studies, our biggest problem is evolution as a reason why people don't believe the Bible. And that's connected with these deep time. In other words, supposedly if evolution is going to take place, you're going to have millions of years, right? So they call it deep time. And that's what's used to debunk the Bible. It's pretty simple. The Bible says God created it in 6 days and he rested the seventh day, right? Now, I think the most accurate, and it's a little hard to put this together, but I think the most accurate date for creation is round figures 5,500 BC. It's about, over 7,500 years ago. So let's just round it off to 7,000 because I can do that. So let's say one piece of paper is 1,000 years, okay? And so 7,000 years would be 7 pieces of paper. That's not very thick, right? So a million would be 1,000 thousandths. So that'd be 1,000 sheets of paper, and if it's the right thickness, that'd be 1 foot. Say 1,000 pieces. So a million years at 1,000 years per piece of paper is 1 foot. 525 million years is 525 feet. A billion years is 1,000 feet. 4 billion years is 4,000 feet compared to 7 pieces of paper. These two systems are not compatible. Okay, you cannot make those mesh. And the pieces of paper help illustrate what the difference between, what would be Bible time and deep time. So it's important. And now the Grand Canyon exposes the most sediment on Earth in one clearly visible spot. Okay, about 6,000 feet in some places. And you can go there and look. Now, there's other spots where there's maybe that much sediment exposed, but you can't get there. Okay? Grand Canyon, you can't get there, right? And, Jim's been there, right? Yeah, he peered over the edge and then stepped back, like everybody else does. Okay? Pretty amazing. Now, these sediments, then, from the Grand Canyon are used to justify the long periods of time. A number of years ago, I went to the Smithsonian Museum, Washington, D.C., financed by the taxpayers' dollars and totally objective. And they walk you in, and, they got the nicest little deal. You kind of walk through it, and you get to walk through the evolutionary progression of life. I took Katie to the Sam Noble Museum of Natural History on the Oklahoma University campus there in Norman, and they did the same thing. They just walk you through. I must be it, right? They publish a tract that I have in my files. Nice, well-done tract. Some color pictures and different things. And it uses the Grand Canyon to illustrate deep time. See, the Grand Canyon used often. By the way, the title of the tract, okay, you're going to love this. The title of the tract is Why Scientists Believe in Evolution. Okay, and here's all the facts. No, it's why scientists believe. It's a religious belief system, not based in fact at all. It's presented as it's a religious belief system that cloaks itself in scientific language. What it is. So you have to understand that. You have to understand that. Any questions here so far? Am I communicating? Okay, well, good. Got to talk about more geology. Got to talk about the Kaibab uplift, all right? Now, uplift is something where it causes a chunk of ground to lift up and raise, okay? Now, you're right in the middle of all kinds of uplifts right here in Missoula, right? And some of the uplift get pretty steep, like, boom, here come the Bitterroot Mountains, right? Those are all uplifts, see? This is called the Kaibab uplift, and it's, in general, a little bit more gentle. But the base of it is about 3,000 feet. At the highest point, it's over 9,000 feet. So the Kaibab uplift was happening. Okay, the water, the Tejas, when the floodwaters start draining off the mountains that are uplifting in western Colorado, okay, that's tending to flow west. Okay, and then at the same time, then this Kaibab uplift is happening. Okay, now the Kaibab uplift should have caused the water to flow east and join the Rio Grande, but it didn't. See? Because what happened was it cracked. It's pretty clear that it cracked. And when it cracked open, then the waters that are coming off of western Colorado, they got a channel to go through. Now, you give a little bit of water a channel, it doesn't take long, right? Boom! It'll tear out a lot. And that's what happened. So the result is the Colorado River flows to the Baja Gulf between Mexico and close to California. This is a schematic here of the Kaibab uplift. You can see it kind of starts here and it's got an incline up to here. The south end of it is some volcanic activity. Mount Humphreys, the highest point in Arizona, 12,633 feet. But here in the distance in the schematic, see, you can see, you can see the Colorado River, Grand Canyon. See, it looks like a crack, doesn't it? Okay. Everybody with me on that? Okay. I don't know. Had a spy taking pictures. This is me, who's never been on an inner tube in a river, getting ready to do one of the wildest, the premier whitewater rafting trip in North America, okay? Rapids that they rate as 10 out of 10, right? It's 188 miles of the river, camping overnight, rainstorms coming in, and rapids and stuff. And so they said, well, we got an outfitter we work with, just contact them, they'll give you everything you need, okay? So this is what they said I needed, okay? And they're actually right. In addition to that, I even got a pretty hefty raincoat and I got some pretty hefty rain pants. So what are you gonna need rain pants in the desert? Well, the Colorado River is 50 degrees, okay? And if you're in much water for very long, you're gonna get pretty cold. And they said, we recommend this rain gear because we'd rather have you have an enjoyable trip rather than a miserable trip. So I said, okay, done. So here I am. I got me an outfit. So that outfit obviously makes me a whitewater rafter, right? Behind it, this is at Marble Canyon. Behind us is the Vermilion Cliffs, okay? And they'll show up here a little bit. Yeah. This is a Grand Canyon. This is a Google Earth map. Actually started right about up here where the red dot is. Lee's Ferry kind of came down here, along here, got out of the river over here. See, that's what it looks like from the end. It looks like a crack, doesn't it? Because you stick your feet in the sand down on the beach and it's soft, and you wiggle your toes a little bit. What's the sand do? Cracks, doesn't it? Well, that's what's happening. And so it went through, and so this section right here is the Kaibab uplift right here. Okay, Jacob Lake is up here, and so if any of you have been down there, you got an idea. Right about here is the North Rim, and right about here is the South Rim.
How far north and south is that uplift stretch north as it goes?
Well, it goes a long ways. It goes from really Mount Humphreys, probably 100 miles to the south, or a little less, maybe 75, clear up to the Utah border.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's pretty good size, yeah. And it's a pretty good climb,
Was that like a swash of
What's that?
just sediment? It just kind of
No, it's a result of volcanic forces pushing it up. Okay, yeah, good question. So this is kind of a schematic of the sediments inside. Here at the kind of the base, you got the Tapete sandstone. There's a spot of the canyon where it really carves low, carves down into the basement rock a little bit. And then you got the Bright Angel Shale, the Muav, you got Temple Butte, Redwall, Supai. There's that Coconino. There's the Kaibab limestone up on top. And you got some volcanoes up there. And so we'll be able to see all of that as we work our way through. All right? So here we are, Lee's Ferry. Lee's Ferry is one of the two crossings of the Grand Canyon, the Colorado. Just upriver a ways underneath the waters of the Glen Canyon Dam is something called Crossing of the Fathers. But these are the only two places you could cross for 280 miles. So this is where we put in at. These are our boats here. I'm going to try to move this here just a little bit. There we go. So those are our boats. Western River Expeditions, they do a lot of Western rivers, but they build their own rafts, okay? And so that is rubber, okay? And it's pretty tough rubber, as you might imagine, okay? And there's basically 5 pontoons, and there's some joints. Like right here's a joint between the X and the P, and those joints flex, when you're going over the rapids. You got these things here storage supplies. You got these ropes here, okay? So if you want to get down the fronts and have some white water, you grab those ropes. So some of the young guys, they're good to go on this, and you have to have one rope, one hand here, and the other one with the palm turned away from you on the rope behind you, because it's going to rock you both ways, okay? And they said, look, we say down, we mean down. They said, suck rubber. And they meant it. They weren't kidding. Okay? And so they explained, this is going to be, this is a whitewater rafting experience. You're going to be camping. It could be rain showers. We don't control the weather. And so, and you're going to be gone for 6 days. So, if anybody'd like to get off, now's the time. Nobody will say anything. Don't say, just get off. It'll be fine. Because once we're loose, the only way you're getting out of here is by helicopter. And we only do helicopters if it's an absolute medical emergency. So everybody with us? Okay. So I think they got verbal agreements. Everybody. Now, of course, they're carrying all the supplies for. There's 12 paying guests on each raft, okay? And each paying guest is paying $4,000. Okay? Katie, she said, hey, Jay, she said, I think you'd really enjoy this. It's advertised here in the Acts and Facts, the ICR journal. She said, I think you'd really enjoy this. And I said, I'm 75, I don't know if I'd enjoy it that much. But I mentioned it we have phone studies on Friday nights and Monday nights. I mentioned it one night. So somebody sent a check for $4,000. That was Ian. I couldn't. Okay. So the second boat over here, I sat on the extreme left edge as we're looking at it this way. Okay. And they have provisions stacked in there. And these are run 30 horse outboard motors. Propeller spin both directions. And this section here behind that's called the Princess section. So it's if you want to get up in the Princess section, you could do that, all right? And so I sat over there, and he told us, he said, hey, move around. Sit in one place for a while and sit in another place for a while, and and so I tried those tubes. This is not going to work for me. Okay. See, and in the Princess section, you have to sit with your feet straight out. That's not going to work for me. I don't have the limberness that I used to have. Sometimes I try to pretend that I do, but that is not ever a good plan. So I said, you know what? I'm sitting up here, and I said, because he said move around. He said, don't be like Aunt Joyce. I said, well, I'm Aunt Joyce, and I'm here. So this is Lee's Ferry, and you see these rocks and behind us here. These are all, none of those sequences are in the Grand Canyon once you get in it. This is all this is all above the Grand Canyon rocks. Okay, this is like Navajo sandstone, and on up into the next phases. So we're ready to go. Push off. You guys ready? You won't need a helicopter to get out of here, but so these are the Vermilion Cliffs, okay? And they're like I say, they're pretty red colored, and they're pretty dominant on at Lee's Ferry. Here you are. This is a schematic of the Grand Canyon. There's the canyon itself. Here's the sediment inside the Grand Canyon. Like I say, this is about 5,000 feet of sediment here, okay? Now, above it, you have the Grand Staircase. So you got a preliminary set of cliffs, then you got the Vermilion Cliffs, you got the White Cliffs, and you got the Gray Cliffs. Here's Zion Canyon, and up here's Bryce Canyon, okay? And that's called the Grand Staircase, and you can see why. 5,000 feet of sediment here, another 10,000 feet of sediment sitting on top of that. 15,000 feet of sediment. Now I had to try to plan ahead because I had you in mind when I was taking pictures, and so I got a picture of the Grand Staircase. See, we were coming up the Kaibab uplift here, coming out of Fredonia, Arizona, and up toward Jacob Lake. So we climbed up the Kaibab uplift, and there was a spot there, and I said, we're going to stop the car because I need a picture of the Grand Staircase. There's the Vermilion Cliffs. There's that other little lesser cliffs here. There's the Vermilion Cliffs. There's the White Cliffs, and then there's the top up at Bryce Canyon. 11,000 feet elevation up there. It was a nice clear day. Thank you, Lord, because the folks in Missoula needed this, all right? So that gives you an idea of what all this is around here. So here we are. These are the Navajo bridges here, and that is 470 feet above the river. See, it's a little hard to get a perspective on things, isn't it? And right here is where the Coconino sandstone first appears. See, what's going to happen? We're going to go in. We're going to go into this uplift, see, and as we go in, see, the sediments are going to start showing up, okay? And the canyon's going to get deeper and deeper and deeper because we're going in to the Kaibab uplift. See, as you can see right here, the canyon's probably only about 500 feet. The rim of the canyon's only about 500 feet above the river at this point. Elevation here, about 3,100 feet. Okay, any questions? Other further? Well, here's the Esplanade sandstone. Now here's that Kaibab limestone, and here's the Coconino. We're only 10 miles into the canyon. See how deep that's getting already? And notice how steep those walls are. Okay, just recall that. All right. Here's some sandstone. This is the Esplanade sandstone. But see this stuff here? See how it's at an angle? That's called cross-bedding. Okay. So what happens when a sand dune is forming? You got a platform, and see the sand's coming over the top of it, and it gets laid in there at an angle, right? And then the next dune forms, and then the next dune forms, okay? Now, in what they call aeolian, see, I always got to use big words, aeolian sandstone, that means it's like the dunes down on the beach. It's in the open air, in other words. That angle is about 35, maybe 30 to 35, 37 degrees, above 30 degrees, okay? Now, dunes can form underneath water as well, okay? But underwater dunes have an angle less than 30, like about 25. Now, all the sandstone in the Grand Canyon, all of it has this cross-bedding. Sometimes it's hard to see, but it's all there. And the fact that the angle is always about 25 degrees tells you it's formed underwater. Now, you read their literature, they're going to talk about some dry desert period of time when these dunes were forming. See, they're going to call it aeolian sandstone, but it's not. It's underwater, and they refuse to acknowledge that. Why? If they acknowledge that, their whole story is gone. Okay? Everybody with me on that? See? So, cross-bedding, doesn't mean that your mattress was bad. It has to do with sandstone. So here's our boat coming in. This is something called Red Wall Canyon here. Now you can see from the size of this boat how deep the sand is in the bottom of that. Okay, I'd say about 10, 12 feet. Now here's what this cave looks like from the inside. Okay. Now, I'm a preacher, and so I'm pretty good at looking at the audience and saying, okay, what do we got? Okay, 80 people here tonight? What do you think? 85? 82. Okay. Well, I can always bump her up. 90, okay? Preachers count, right? My estimate was you could put 1,000 chairs. 1,000 chairs, easy, inside that cave. 1,000 chairs. Amazing. Now I got to looking at all that sand there, and I'm thinking, man, that was a lot of water, bringing that sand from upstream down and dumping it in there. I mean, the sand had to come from somewhere, right? Then I got to think about the layers of sandstone in the Grand Canyon. You had to have sand before you have sandstone, right? So we'll have to think about that here a little bit. See how that all fits. A little bit further canyon, there's your red wall limestone right here. And there's kind of a line here. There's something called Temple Butte Formation and the Muav. They kind of blend together. Red wall is a really stiff limestone, so it tends to hold its vertical wall. Muav's a little softer, so you tend to get kind of a talus slope on it. Okay, but there's a pretty clear line demarcation that goes across here. It's kind of wanders around the canyon here, a little bit back behind there. That line is supposedly a 140 million year gap. Now, any guys got a driveway that slopes? Anybody got a driveway that sloped that's not paved? Okay, so the latest cloud burst, what does it do to your driveway? Okay, and you're out there shoveling stuff, filling it back in again, right? Okay, so in other words, any surface is going to have erosion in it. Okay, so one overnight thunderstorm, tears up your driveway, right? How about 140 million years of overnight thunderstorms? You think that'd tear anything up? See, the point is, these lines do not show any erosion whatsoever. These are flat lines for the most part, through the whole length of the canyon. What's that tell you? There's no erosion. No erosion. That means they all came in about the same time. They're not laid down over 525 million years, 515 million years. See, none of that nonsense.
What do they say? How do they talk about that?
Ignore it.
They just ignore it.
Yeah, anything inconvenient, just baffled with big years, lots of years. Yeah. Everybody knows. Science by consensus, right? Science by consensus isn't science, it's propaganda. And the quicker you figure that out, the better off you'll be. If you have to have a consensus, see, one fact blows a consensus up, doesn't it? Yeah. So they basically ignore it. There's the other boat there out in front. Okay. Some of the rocks coming down here. Notice, there's quite a bit of erosion here. These things are. If that canyon is 9 million years old, is it going to still have those vertical walls? No, it's not going to have those vertical walls. They're going to be caved in. Earthquake's going to, stone's going to topple over, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, again, you can't, 9 million. Okay, zeros, the brain doesn't register zeros. See, there's no difference between $1,000 in debt and $1 million in debt. It's just zeros, right? Well, until it comes time to pay. Yeah. But see, the mind doesn't register. See, so 9 million years, they just throw that out there. See, but it can't be that old. How'd that get in there? Oh, that's the Bridger Mountains east of Bozeman. You guys have been to family camp, might have had the opportunity to see that, okay? So why is that here? Well, this peak here is called Ross Peak, and it's limestone. In fact, it's Madison limestone. And what happens, see, is the peak was, as the Bridger Mountains are lifting up, that thick layer of limestone snapped. Part of it went like this, and part of it dropped down like that. Imagine the force that it took to snap that limestone like that. Okay? So that's Madison limestone. Now, this is Redwall limestone. Madison limestone is the same as Redwall limestone. Look it up.
It's the same sheet.
Madison limestone in Montana is the same as Redwall limestone in the Grand Canyon. Say 1,200 miles apart. Madison limestone in Montana in some places is 1,700 feet thick. Now, some of you guys have been to Great Falls. In Great Falls, a lot of those people have to drill wells, 500, 600, 700 feet down through sandstone to get to water. What they're doing is they're drilling down to where the Madison limestone is, because that carries water. Okay? But that gives you an idea how pervasive this is. So that was all that limestone was a result of an inland sea where stuff has happened in over millions of years. No, not happening. So yep, related. Same layer, 1,200 miles apart. This is where the Little Colorado comes into the main Colorado. That's interesting because a number of years ago I was doing a series on the university campus, and one night I was going to show a Mount St. Helens video, when Mount St. Helens blew up. You had that vast amount of ash and everything, all that sediment flooding the Cowlitz and the Toutle rivers, just filling them up, okay? And so they knew when those mudslides happened, okay? A couple years later, there was a little bit of volcanic activity and snowmelt. And what that did is it caused a mudslide, and the mudslide went right through the previous mud and carved a miniature canyon, about 140 feet deep. Did it quickly, all right? And so I was showing that particular video. Well, there was a college professor there. He was just absolutely obnoxious because the two geology classes decided to come to the debate. See, so I was doing those things. I'm taking the geology profs on week. I'm taking the astronomy and physics profs on the next week. I'm taking the biology profs on the next. It's pretty interesting. And so the geology profs were there attacking everything we're doing. One of the things I talked about was how this stuff was all soft and had to be deposited rapidly. In the midst of the chaos that the professor was trying to create, one of the students said, "Do you have any evidence of this rapid deposition of sediment?" I said, yeah, I do. Take the Little Colorado, okay? The Little Colorado River comes into the Grand Canyon at this spot right here. I took Katie, I've tried to educate Katie, along the way. She's, there's certain parts of her life that just, been missing. And so she had to go to the Little Colorado, and she had to see the geology, and she had to be interested in geology. In exchange for that, I'm interested in flowers. Okay, see, we're even. Okay, and so we're up here, and here's the Little Colorado River Canyon, but it's a meandering river. It's like this, and the canyon walls are straight down. See, and so you can tell what it was the Little Colorado was coming into the main Colorado. It was a nice meandering stream. And then when the main Colorado dropped down here, here's the Little Colorado up here. What's it going to do? It's going to carve its way down, right? Now, if that sediment was already hard, rock, you can't carve it straight down. It's going to V out. It's going to take too long. See, the only way that canyon walls can be vertical like that is if that sediment is soft. All this sediment was soft, all of it. All 5,000, 6,000 feet of that sediment was soft at first. That's why it could crack. And the Little Colorado proves that. See, and I can see the students, by the way, the students afterwards apologized for the professor's behavior. You know, said, Paul, he was such a jerk. We're sorry. He's just a jerk. Right across from the Little Colorado is this cliff. This is 3,700 feet from here to the top. And this shot illustrates all the layers are exposed. Right here's the Tapete sandstone. You know, here's the Bright Angel shale, and you get the Muov, a little bit of the Temple Butte formation. Here's the red wall, and then up above you start to get some of the Supai and the Hermit. You can't see the Hermit formation because there's kind of a cliff. Up here you're going to get the Coconino sandstone, you get the Toro Weep, and you get the Kaibab. It's all right there. Same sediments all the way along the river, almost 270 miles of it. Same layers. Same flat. That gives you a perspective here, what that is. Other questions here? So up on top, when Katie and I did that Little Colorado River trip, we also stopped to see the Grand Canyon. And this is a watchtower on the south rim. I think it was built in 1927. And the reason for the watchtower is so you could get up higher and get a better look at the canyon. And of course, for a price, you could do that, right? Everything, you start traveling, meters start spinning. You know, that's just the way it works, right? So here is that tower from the base of the canyon. See, I had you guys in mind. You know, I want to picture that tower, okay? Now here's a picture of the canyon from up near where the tower is. So that picture was taken on this kind of straight stretch right here. That's where that picture was taken from. Down the bottom. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Some spots, the top of the canyon, say 18 miles wide. The river itself, its narrowest point is 76 feet wide. Its widest point is 750 feet wide. Some spots it's 100 feet deep. Clark's Fork doesn't match it. Doesn't match it. So it's a pretty interesting river to be on. But that's nothing compared to the river that carved that canyon initially. This is just a trickling stream compared to that. Oh, there was wildlife. So I had a splash-proof camera that I took with me. And, you know, son Matt suggested, oh, by the way, notice the water's kind of greenish. Okay. And so this is the last picture I took, and then the battery died. And I thought, well, that's okay because I got another battery. Well, later when I tried to get the battery out, it didn't work. So from that point on, it's going to be iPhone. Okay? Now I need to have battery so that when I get out of this thing, I can call Katie, contact Katie. See, so I'm taking a picture or two and then I'm shutting that phone off, right? So there's an iPhone picture taken from down inside the canyon. Up here on top, there's your Kaibab limestone, there's your Toro Weep, there's your Coconino, your Hermit formation. It's all that. But I just thought it was an awesome picture. Here's a cloud below the canyon rim.
Wow.
On a nice early morning. Yeah. The Perseid meteor showers were going on at the time, so we're able to lay in our bunks to the extent we could keep our eyes open and watch the meteors going over. Pretty cool. Just an awesome trip. I really enjoyed it. Would I do it again? No. This is another picture. This really features the Tapete sandstone at the base of the canyon here, and of course all the other layers, again, pretty visible going up there. The Tapete sandstone is important because it's the one that's laying on the base granite rock. Now here's a picture. This is in Blacktail Canyon, and this is Tapete sandstone here. And right here, where this is touching the granite, that's called the Great Unconformity. And when you have one layer of rock that's different than another layer of rock underneath it, that's an unconformity. This is called the Great Unconformity, and that's the term the secular geologists give it, because that's where your first layer of sediment is laying on the base granite rock. or metamorphosized granite rock. Okay. Now the great unconformity is worldwide, which would start telling you something. Okay. And of course some of this rock is a little bit different color. This kind of oranges here. Oops. So it doesn't look like the Grand Canyon because it's not. That's east of Melrose. If you take I-15 here to Butte and then south from Butte toward Dillon, about halfway between Butte and Dillon is a little place called Melrose. And it's in Madison County. So, I mean, I grew up in Madison County, so I promote Madison County every chance I get. This is up Camp Creek, okay? Now this right here is the great unconformity. Oops, goes right there. See, wherever you see the sagebrush growing kind of here, that's the granite base. And this sandstone here in Montana is known as Tapete sandstone, or not Tapete sandstone, it's known as Flathead sandstone. But Flathead sandstone is the same as Tapete sandstone. Now, Katie picked up a couple broken chunks of that and put it on her back porch because she likes rocks, and there may be flowers to go with them sometime. And it's kind of orangish, just like the tapetes, just like this stuff right here. See, the guys that work in the Grand Canyon, when they see different types of sandstone, they'll recognize that's like tapete, Lodore sandstone in the Flaming Gorge Reservoir. It's all same sandstone.
I have a question about the colors and the
What's that?
the colors and the material of
Yeah.
the different layers.
Yeah.
Did that happen because different weights of sediment?
Yeah, I'll answer that question.
Sorry.
Yeah, good question. So there's just a little zoom back look at this. Here's your Flathead sandstone. Right above it here is a layer of shale. In Montana, that's known as Woolsey shale. And then above it is Mar limestone, M-E-A-G-H-E-R. You know, if you studied your Montana state history, you know Mar, okay? That's where it gets its name, okay? So the Flathead sandstone is the same as the Tapete sandstone. The Woolsey shale is the same as the Bright Angel shale. And the Mar limestone is the same as the Moab limestone in Montana. This is not sounding like a small localized flood, is it? Okay. Now what you've got here, you've got alternating layers of the shale and the limestone all the way to the top here, 1,200 feet up. And that's the Sauk Formation mega sequence in this section of Montana. See, this is massive, isn't it? Massive. All coming down. I took this picture, well, I look better in that picture than I did the other one, don't you think? And, but this is that, see back up here. See that kind of line right here? That gives you an idea how big that is and how definite. And you can see where the sagebrush is going. That's that rock, okay? So, you know, I brought with me for any of you rock hounds tonight, you know, here's a piece of that schist. That's the metamorphosized granite. It's the same as the Vishnu schist in the base of the Grand Canyon. You know, here's a piece of the Flathead sandstone, same as the Tapete sandstone. And here's some of the crumbly Woolsey shale, same as the Bright Angel shale in the Grand Canyon. Same stuff. Isn't it amazing? All the way from Arizona to Montana to Michigan. See, what's causing this? Let me backtrack here. I'll do that. Okay. So, okay, where did the floodwaters come from? See, it rained 40 days, but the floodwaters continue to rise to 150th day, right? Not only did the heavens open up, but the fountains of the earth opened up as well. And when those fountains of the earth opened up, the things that happen along the eastern seaboard in the United States, there was a sea between what's now Europe and North America, small one, and something called subduction happened. That's where the crust underneath the ocean started to sink underneath the continent, and so it pulled Europe west and it pulled North America east. When they collided, that formed the Appalachian ridges in the United States, and it formed the Caledonian mountain ranges in Europe, northern Europe. Then the next thing that happened is subduction in the west happened. So the Pacific plate started to sink underneath the west coast. And when that started to sink, see, it started pulling North America west. And at one point, that was pulling North America west at the rate of 50 feet per second. See, again, you can't even hardly process that. And they know that. The creation guys know that from looking at the mid-Atlantic ridge and the age of the way of the expansion away from that mid-Atlantic ridge. Okay. Now, eventually, the whole Pacific Ocean floor was consumed. There's chunks of the original floor still down in there, and it's colder than the lava magma around it. See, so that lets you know it hasn't been down there that comparatively long time, or wouldn't be lower temperature. So what happened, see, is you had a Pacific Ocean floor that was being consumed step by step. It's getting the floor is getting hotter and hotter. What does stuff do when it gets hotter? It expands, right? So what's that doing? Pushing the floodwaters up. And so this is tremendously violent. Okay, so you got these basic humongous tsunami waves coming in, just stripping everything. Like, when you look at this, I mean, it's pretty smooth. Let me backtrack here. Oops. Look at that. I mean, that's a fairly smooth, planed off surface there. See, that's how it is. That was the ridge. But these waves coming in, whoo, and with force like we can't even imagine. See, I was thinking, in order to have sandstone, you have to have sand, right? In order to have, say, flathead sandstone or Tapete sandstone, hundreds of feet thick, 1,200 miles apart, that is a lot of sand. Where's that coming from? That's coming from the first wave, churning stuff up with forces like we can't believe. Pausing for a second, give it a chance to settle, then what? The next wave comes in, right? 5 mega sequence, it wasn't just one wave, it was one set of waves, and then another set of waves, and another set of waves for 150 days. Till finally, the entire surface of the earth was covered 15 cubits and upward. Now, it was coming in slow enough that the things on higher ground could move upwards. So that's why, see, the dinosaurs are up higher. And mammals are smarter and more agile than dinosaurs, so they get up higher. But see, these waves are coming in, and they're burying those things as they come in. Now, all the fossils, in here are marine fossils. Now, there's some lizard tracks, where in a spot or two, where from up high, where there's a lizard flying over the stuff that was already come in with the fossils in it. Okay. There's trilobites in there. There's trilobites in the limestone or the shale down there out of Melrose. Okay. So you got this first wave that comes in. See, then you got the second, and you got the first 3 sequences. All the sediments are marine sediments. All marine. Nothing from land at all. You start getting up higher. Now, you take the Heimbaugh Ranch over out of Glendive. There's a formation there called the Hell Creek Formation. Now, that's up higher, and it has lots of dinosaur fossils. In fact, there's a layer of rock above it called the Fort Union Formation, and the only difference between the Hell Creek Formation and the Fort Union Formation is the Hell Creek has dinosaur fossils. T-Rex, in Montana, T-Rex in South Dakota. That's all from that Hell Creek Formation. That's up higher. And the mammals are up higher than that, just because of the way it was coming in. Okay. So it gives you an idea then about the size and how this fits together and how it happened. Okay, so now you got a hot ocean, right? When that subduction is happening, okay, you got stuff going down hitting the magma. What's that going to do? That's going to shoot it straight up. So the result is you have everything from the Montana-Idaho border to the Pacific Ocean formed by that process during the last phases of the flood. Again, it's hard to process, you know. As soon as you cross Lolo Pass, you know, before long you're in stuff that wasn't there before the flood. Okay. Now, it produces volcanoes. Anybody here old enough to have experienced the Mount St. Helens blow up? Okay. Okay. Mount St. Helens is a granite-based volcano, so it tends to be very explosive. Okay, so those string of volcanoes all along the west coast and in the center of the country, which I'll comment on in a second, throw a lot of ash into the atmosphere. What does volcanic ash do to temperature? Drops it. So you have a hot ocean. What's that do to the amount of evaporation? Lots of evaporation. Cold atmosphere. What do you get? Lots of rain, or at higher elevations, lots of snow. So all these mountain valleys, they're all glaciated because of what was happening as the floodwaters are finishing up. The Ice Age. A couple hundred years of Ice Age. When I was preaching a meeting in Kalispell in 1978, okay, I don't look that old, do I? Look, I went on a whitewater trip. I'm not that old. So about 1978, yeah, I think it was. So I was in Kalispell. I had a little bit of free time, so I went up to go into the Sun Highway over the top, and I'm standing there looking at the Jackson Glacier off to the south, and looking down the valley of the St. Mary's there, and pretty. I mean, that's all the the famous pictures of Glacier Park. You got Goose Island, and you got those big steep-sided peaks. Okay. The sign said 3,500 years ago this valley was full of ice. And it was. The sign's gone because it doesn't fit the narrative. Okay. Now, the retreat of glaciers doesn't have anything to do with warming. The retreat of glaciers has to do with decrease in precipitation. See, which is worldwide. That's why the deserts are getting bigger. Not global warming, it's decrease in precipitation. Because things are kind of stabilizing after the flood. So, okay, now we got the earth covered with water, right? So, you're going to unplug the drain over in the corner? How are you going to get that water out of there? See, well, as the ocean cools now, as the base of the ocean starts to cool, it starts to shrink, doesn't it? And so that's going to start having the floodwaters drain off. There's a lot of water to drain. So she's going to do a lot of damage when she's coming off there. Everybody with me on that? So this is near the end. We've just gone over lava falls, which is a 10 out of 10. And that. But these are volcanic flows. See the volcano up there? Now, it's black. See, that's basalt lava. Basalt's like the Hawaiian volcanoes. See, they're not explosive. You can kind of go, and if you don't get too close, you can watch. It's flowing, right? That's what this was doing. Now, they know that this was happening at the same time the Ice Age was. So the canyon was formed before the Ice Age, which is important when you start parceling things out. And so there's a lot of these basalt flows. What happened was there's another, along the west coast, there's a subduction zone. There's another subduction zone that runs right underneath the Rocky Mountains. And the continent was being pulled so fast it ran over the top of that subduction zone. See, and that's why you have places where the subduction zone is spilling off into this magma pouring out like it does here. But it also resulted in the supervolcanoes because it is underneath there. Take Yellowstone, the Yellowstone volcano. There's actually a string of 18 calderas starting at the McDermott crater over along the Oregon-Nevada border. It's where they got lithium mines, okay? And the string of volcanoes ended up, as the continent kind of came to us, see what's happening, you got a plume of magma shooting up. And so you got this continent moving that fast, see? And so as it moves, see, it's another volcano. And when the continent kind of came to a rest, subduction's still happening. It's moving west at a rate of about 2.5 inches a year. Okay? And it's come to a stop, right? And that, so Yellowstone was the last of those. When the Yellowstone blew, that it blew its top off is basically what happened. Now there was another supervolcano like that in Creede, Colorado, called La Garita. It's even bigger. See, and so you had this massive amount of volcanic activity in the center, and that's causing the mountain ridge, the whole Rockies were formed because they formed over the top of that subduction zone. So you take the mines at Butte. What happens, see, is Butte's built inside a volcanic crater. Okay, and the little hill at the M's on, that's a little volcanic cone. Okay? But inside that, sometimes you'll get something that kind of comes up underneath. And so two domes formed, the Anaconda Dome and the Continental Dome formed. And so that water underneath there is bringing up copper and silver and gold. See, and that's part of it because it's over the top of that subduction zone underneath. See, God did it amazingly so that we have the resources we need. Okay? You know, all the coal, all the oil was formed as a result of flood activity. So this is where we ended our trip right here. We kind of flew over that right there, but any questions on that? Well, let's do a little whitewater. That's what they always said, you know. They said, let's do whitewater, okay? And so that's when you grab your ropes. They say some of those guys.
Clearing.